Griff, Amsterdam. How are you today? All right? Enjoying yourselves? I was curious in a bar yesterday evening and asked some Dutch people about how they pronounce some letters. That's not Griff. Dutch people, that's Griff. All right? Maybe we should have thought again about coming to Amsterdam. Griff, 2019. To my right, I have Jillian and Maxim. And what's unique about these guys is we have heard nothing about Russia, which is a terrible crime. We need to hear a lot more about Russia and your extended business, Maxim. And we haven't heard much about Scotland, I'm being cheeky. We haven't heard much about other aspects where businesses collect brands. We've heard from other speakers the last day and a half where they've had chains, right? These guys don't really have a chain. They have a lot of really cool and very individual restaurants. So I'm going to ask Maxim and Jillian to introduce themselves. I'll ask Jillian first to introduce herself, tell us about herself, her business, if you would.
Great. I'm Jillian, the founder of Drake & Morgan. We're a collection of 23 bars and restaurants, predominantly based in London, although we have a business in Edinburgh, a couple in Manchester, and a joint venture down at one of the airport terminals as well. But our home is really central London, actually, and it's beautiful business. We look after now, we're 11 years old this year, and we look after about 2 million customers a year. So it's a lovely business. Come and see us when you're in London.
So hello everybody from Russia. I'm a CEO and a partner of Ginza project, the multi-branded international company that run over 120 restaurants, not only in Russia, so in Moscow, St. Petersburg, and some cities that you don't know for now. New York, London, Baku, and we have a great plans for Europe, Geneva, Paris, and maybe other countries. All the projects are absolutely unique, and first of all, we create the ideas, and then we manage them. And I'm a dreamer. After yesterday, I saw this great talk with the guys who shared Tel Aviv experience for the world. I hope someday we will sit here with all my colleagues from Russia and say that the Moscow is the capital city of the food and hospitality. And so I invite everybody to come to Russia and to see what is Russian hospitality and what we can do with food. And this is a great language to share the culture for everybody. So from some mother instincts that we have.
Maxim's making a push for Griff to be in Russia
in
2 years' time.
I hope so.
Which I think is a great idea.
Yeah.
Have we worked out Maxim's background is IT? Exactly. I mean, obvious, isn't it, right? So with the businesses you've got, guys, I'll start with Jillian. It's a really unique collection. And I remember when I first met you at the refinery,
yes,
we were struggling to remember why. For those of us that have been in the business a long time, when you see a concept and then you meet the individual, you often match the two together. And I was in your bar restaurant about half an hour before you got there. And when you arrived, I felt like I'd met you already. It's because your business, your personality pervaded right through the concept. It was fabulous. How do you answer the question, which maybe an investor would argue, that says, why do you keep doing different one? Why don't you just do one and loads of one concept?
I think the look and feel of the it's a local neighbourhood bar and restaurant. And actually, you have to tailor it to the local demographic and the market there. So where we met at Bankside by the Tate Modern, it's probably quite a special place because it's our first business, and IPC Media are based there, 3,500 journalists, 65% of them women, and actually people perhaps not earning as much as our other customers that we have now in the portfolio. So it's just about listening to local market and tailoring the offer. I was very fortunate. I started late in life to be an entrepreneur, so I had a big corporate career. We were laughing about that this morning when we were having a coffee. Maxim was saying he hated his corporate career. I sometimes quite loved it. I thought it was quite important. But anyway, and I was very fortunate. I was at Mitchells & Butler, and what Mitchells & Butler gave to me was many things, was great grounding and training. So the template of our business is 85% templated and 15% play. So the look and feel is different, but the engine that works behind it, because our business will turn over circa 60 million and the units make just under 10 million EBITDA. So there's quite a a good machine that's behind it in the team in terms of delivering not just the supply chain, but the whole operational piece in the background.
Tempted to take one and have that as a franchise and do more than one. The orthodox route, right? That route.
Well, we've done a little bit of that with the refinery. We opened the refinery in Edinburgh and a refinery in Manchester. But actually, all the kind of customer research, talking to our own customers and all the trend stuff that you probably all see, and I'd study a big piece of work called Rivers of Evolution, which is all around actually what do customers want. And people still want individuality and to feel that they've sought something out and such like. So we've got a couple of new concepts that will open later this year and early next year. And again, they're individual names, the plenary, the semaphore, and based all around that. So I think customers still want that. They want the consistency of the thread throughout the brand. We've got about just under 40% of our business is pre-booked, prepaid, in terms of with our sales team. So we've got quite a good predictability in our sales line with our teams. And customers, I think, they still want very individual experiences. We're selling quite a lot of different experiences as well as the bar and restaurant experience. We've got quite a big wedding business now, I do, as well. And I think people like the individuality of the look and feel of our sites.
Cool. I'll come back to you, Jillian, because I'm interested as to why you're still there, and I've got an idea about discussing that at the moment.
Yeah.
But Maxim, you've got 100+ restaurants, 4 cities around the world, St. Petersburg, Moscow,
St. Petersburg,
London.
Some cities in Russia.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for that. Why are they all so different and so individual?
We're really similar with Jillian because we have fundamental standards. There exist. We grow up with this, but we're in love to make unique products. But it's not quite true that we don't make some scale, because Marijuana, that is in 5 cities, it's some sort of franchising, but it's not standard because every place is unique. All the local things that we need to know to deal in cities that are not Russian, it's really important. So. But the creation of a new project is some sort of magic, you know. We cannot avoid this. It's really cool when you do something new. And, all these projects are profitable. We are in an investment fund forum, and we want to have this unique flavor of every project.
Okay, so you're both individual entrepreneurs, you're clearly creative. Jillian, in the past I've noticed that I've met entrepreneurs who have done one really cool concept and then they've done another one of the same name, another one. And it's almost like, so they lose their soul, but they lose their heart and their spirit. And it could be because you're doing different ones each time, keeps you fresh.
Well, we've made plenty of mistakes along the way. What was I going to say? Because as you scale up, we sold our business about 5 years ago and refinanced it, and we're very fortunate because we were EIS fund when we started, and EIS backed when we started, and actually we probably had quite a lot of time spending talking to the shareholders rather than sometimes getting on with running the business. And we were raising money at the time as well in a couple of tranches. And one of the great things about us going to private equity actually was a sole investor alongside the team, and that was about 5 years ago, because that then gave us even more clarity to be able to have assurance in the background about our investment and then actually have more time to really look at the business. And I think as well, it's important to stay fresh. We don't have a head office or whatever. We've got a support team called the Ranch. Meanwhile, back at the Ranch. Sounds a bit cheesy, but that's what it is. It's and everybody works in our business with the business. And our team are little tribes, and a number of them are travelling, looking at all probably different bars and restaurants. We were chatting with Maxim this morning, saying about the whole thing of going to Russia, because we were hosting some people from the Ukraine that were on a food and bar tour, and it was really interesting to hear some of the things that are going on in that part of the world. But yeah, I think staying fresh is about giving the team and ourselves the headspace to look at the new things that are going on in the world, and then having this filtration into your business of trying new things, and not everything works, and actually being supportive of things working and not working, and then picking yourself up from it. So if somebody had said to me we'd be doing Game of Thrones mixology, Candy Crush mixology, all these different experiences, I would have thought perhaps not, but actually these things work and customers want those things. So it's about keeping relevant and also keeping up. London's so saturated now in terms of there's lots of customer experience, and also there's a lot of competition. So you've got to be fresh, and you've got to be ready, and you've got to be fit. The talk earlier I thought was interesting about happiness. One of the things that I think is, sorry, I'm chatting too much, Maxim, but just final point to say is that I think it's very important to have an empathy and to collaborate. The model for me is collaboration, and also not to have an ego in terms of actually listening to the customer and actually trying some new things that our teams and our customers want to do as well. So it's cool staying fresh because it's fun.
Cool. So, Maxim, staying fresh, is it the new concepts or new cities that excite you, or both?
It's the both things, It's also possible to do fresh things in Moscow, in St. Petersburg, and for me, is to share the culture of Russia in new cities in all over the world. We can do it. And what is freshness? We are talking about find the right partner, first of all, to run a business somewhere else. Not else, or in Russia also. It's every time to find the right person to run the business. And to run the business, the restaurant business, it's so crossroad between all the businesses I know about my life. It's economical, it's about the hospitality, it's about the cooking, it's about human resources, and you need to combine all these things about what? The ground is the idea. So you need to believe in the idea, you need to find a partner, a friend in future who believe in this idea, who share your beliefs, and to give this to the world.
Can you tell us a bit about the model that you have, the investment, the financial model, the partnership model that you have?
It's a partnership model. So we have a standard way of partnership when we share with the investors the money risks, so I don't know, 70 to 30 to the investor and from our part, but it depends on the projects. So we can easily move in the process scale and something like that. So we are open to discuss the particular project.
So if I've got money, I come to you with my dream, you convert that into reality?
It's my story, how I came to Ginza project. So it was my dream, and the founder of the company believed in it, and find the investor. It's not only his money he invests. He find the investor who also believe in this. It's about, the Excel and everything like that, not only about talking how great I am. And so we started this seafood bar. And the image there is from that life. And now we have this project. And we can do it with other people who have this potential to do this. So we gather these people, we're searching for these people who can run a new restaurant, new idea.
Jillian, where's next? Where would you take your business? I nearly said brands, which would be the wrong phrase, but your business next. Where would you go?
Well, we'll do more in London, actually, over the next couple of years. But by the end of March of this year, we'll have turned over, since the day we started and opened our first doors, $3 billion. Which I would never have imagined when we first started at the refinery bankside. which is, I think, pretty incredible. So the next 10 years of Drake & Morgan really will be about adding to our collection. Our hopes and dreams are to do more bars and restaurants, and then our eventual dreams are to do rooms as well. But let's see if those dreams happen, because we've got to get on and deliver our business.
Internationally, I know you and I have talked internationally in the past. No aspirations or thoughts?
To be honest, I think there's lots to do still in the UK, actually. And I think that, yeah, I mean, London's quite a hotbed. There's a lot of really good opportunities still in London and affluent villages and some of the developments that are coming with Crossrail. So London for now, I think.
Right, cool. And yourself, Maxim, Saudi. We were talking about Saudi before. I'd love to see you in Saudi. Wear those boots in Saudi, man. Great.
Okay, I will do it. Saudi, no, all over the world. So we are looking for the capitals of the countries in Europe. So we started in New York, in USA, but we're looking forward to Miami and Los Angeles. Saudi pay interest to us, and we are in the discussions about where and what we will open. It's not only Marijuana, we have another concepts that we can share. First of all, you know, like what is the main things? Location, location, location. We need to find a suitable location to our projects, and then we can start to do it.
All right, I'm going to turn the floor in a moment with some questions, because this is the only Russian guy on the stage, right? And this is quite a unique thing we have in Figure, but it is quite unique. So we'll turn the floor for questions in a moment. But Jillian, you gave me an insight before we walked in about your management style.
Yeah.
Do you mind me asking about this? Because you were talking about how you had a moment of reality when you had a discussion. NLP, was it?
Yeah. We were chatting about, we've got a great CFO who, it was his first appointment as kind of FD when he joined the business. And I've been very fortunate over a number of years you need to sometimes have somebody outside of your investor, outside of your family and friends who have all intentions, but to have this great business coach, a lady called Laura Ashley Timms. And as part of James's development, he had a great coach, a guy, Pete Doherty, not the musician. But anyway, a guy who's written many different books and coached different people. And part of the kind of chemistry session of him working with James was to have a walk with me and around some of our sites. And he was saying to me, the problem of women of your generation, Jillian, is that you've worked too hard. And of the kind of Thatcherite generation. And he said, you've got to, this was a number of years ago, and he's saying you've got to evolve your model and how you work and think about how you work, because actually not just, we were chatting with James in the break as well, not just young people, but actually people want to work differently. So there was probably a time for women, as I was going through my career, that people probably had to kind of overprove themselves, whereas I think that's quite a slightly different thing now. That's not required in the same way, actually. So I think it's about the affluence and influence of women, not about being an ardent feminist or whatever. So I think that it's still hard work for everybody, of course, but it's about recognising that there needs to be more of a balance.
So when you go to an event like this or others, are you one of the very few female leaders of a business?
No, I mean, I was in a business in Mitchells and Butler that had great diversity. Yeah. So I never, and hospitality has fantastic women in hospitality and men in hospitality. So no, I think there's quite a lot of women here today, and there's a lovely lady who used to work with me. I'm looking forward to hooking up with, who's got a great future ahead of her, Emma Banks, I think, who you know very well. And I haven't managed to catch up with her yet. But yeah, no, I think that hospitality has great equality within it and great diversity.
I think you're right for the restaurant business. Having spent time in the hotel business, we've got a bit of work to do in the hotel business to get more female general managers. But certainly the restaurant business, I think you're right.
Yeah.
Maxim, Russia, questions? Sorry. Any questions from the floor? Quick ones? Okay, all right.
Not yet.
Russian concepts. Now, we're used to British concepts going internationally, French, German, Italian, American, of course. Russian, Mr. Novikov, of course. Good luck to him. Fantastic. You could be next to go into the Middle East, perhaps, because you're in the US, in London.
Not next. We are also there. We have Marijuana in London. Is a Russian concept, absolutely. This concept is also in New York and Baku, as I said. So it's from my point of view, it's more Russian than Novikov, because Novikov has only the Russian surname in restaurant, but it's not. So it's a European, big European restaurant, and we try to share the real culture of Russia, the way like. Do you know this word, babushka, the grandma?
Babushka,
so it's about how it's in the place of grow in Russia, where you're growing from the grandma.
Right, so Mother Russia. That's the
Mother Russia,
Russia,
and Mother
right.
Home.
Okay.
So but I hope that we soon will start the project not only so typical Russian. Because Russia is between Europe and Asia, so it's the only one country so big, staying both foot in one in Europe, other in Asia, and we have a lot of absolutely unique crossroads in cuisine, and we want to share it, and we have a great products that are also unique. As a seafood, as a meat, as a wild berries and something like that, and we want to share we want to share the taste. First of all, it's not so typical Russian cuisine, as it mentioned for so people. This is my dream.
Most major cities don't have any or many Russian restaurants, right? You'd think that's next. The Russian cuisine, regional Russian cuisine?
You know, the new era of Russian food and hospitality started only 15 years ago. So we are really newbie, but we go really fast. And so our move to Europe, to the world, started 10 years ago. And Italian, French, American started 100 years ago.
Yeah, really.
So
right.
we are not first in the line, but we go fast. We can be first someday.
You have the American brand, so TGIF was in very early.
Yeah, a lot of.
McDonald's famously, 1980.
McDonald's we have.
Yeah.
We have Burger King and something like that. We have Nobu. In 1 year it will start Zuma in Moscow. So we learn from them.
Excellent. Well, thank you, guys. If there's any questions from the floor, doesn't look like it. Even David Singleton isn't asking a question. He normally would. Bizarre. Maybe he's not in the room.
Someone want to invest in our
I
project?
can't see him anywhere. There you go. What stood out? What was different about the restaurants? Memorable.
They're unique, they stand out, they're
Lovely.
entrepreneurially operated,
I appreciate.
and full of amazing people and well staffed and well run.
Well, there you are.
So I want to invite everybody to have this feeling. I promise you will have this feeling, because we are great at hospitality, and we know how to blow your mind with
And the football
cooking.
made such a difference. That little
it's
tournament
true.
you had.
It's true.
Oh, man.
We opened this border, to come to us, and the people was absolutely shocked, because the standard view on Russia is the bears with vodka on the street. It's not about this. We are really cool for concepts, and they are really unique, and it's a really high level of hospitality and standards of managing. So come to us,
And
please.
of course, Jillian's business benefited from some really talented and warm and hospitable Russian members of staff, right?
Yeah, we were chatting about that this morning, actually. Our sales team, when we started the business, were all Russian. Oh my God, their work ethic. I thought it was a Scot. I worked hard, but they put me to shame, to be honest. Yeah.
Yeah, and so in 2 years the grief will start in Moscow, I think, yes? It's a deal?
It's a deal. The people are here. Moscow, yeah. Absolutely. Thank you, Maxim. Thank you, Jillian.
Thank you for inviting me.
Thanks. Thank you. Cool. Oh, thanks, Maxim.
Thanks, sir.
Okay.
Sorry, I should shake hands. Terrible. Shake her hand.